Hello, Sunny. Hi, how are you?
Scorpio moon, how are you?
I'm fine. I see Chisa. She is here in the chat. So, welcome,
Hi,
Chisa.
Chisa.
She's still in here. So, as people are coming in, let me go ahead and ring the meditation singing bowl to clear our energies um, and get
Sounds good.
started. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So, no more lies. You can't hear. Okay. Oh, you will come back. Hi, sis. I was watching football. Okay, honey. I don't know if No More Lies, if that was just specific for her. But if anybody else can't hear us, then let me know, or let me know if you can hear. So know that we're doing okay over here before we begin. You're here. Okay, honey. I see you. So, can you hear us? You can hear.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Tainted Love. Okay, so welcome everyone, and yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into today's topic. And what do we have, Sunny?
So it's actually, we're doing our live on the Libra new moon. I believe it's 2 degrees of Libra. And it's 5:55 on the East Coast exactly. And I think 2:55 for you on the West Coast. Um, Lots going on just besides the new moon. I think it's Rosh Hashanah begins, and you were talking about your Buddhist celebration that is also today. You want to say a word about that, or do you want to?
Oh, but so basically, today is Terra Drupin, which is a feast that we have, just to give thanks for the things that we have with us in the present moment. And so this is about like just being, thankful for everything that was given to us and how every single one of us are interdependent. So, if you know, like in my tarot readings, I always talk about codependency, but the thing about Buddhist philosophy is that we're all interdependent on one another. So, just because we say that I'm independent and I am self sufficient and self reliant, well, that actually comes from being dependent on, let's say, your employer, for financial securities, or maybe someone down the road that is going to help you with a certain thing, like different types of things. So just because we say that I'm good on my own and I don't need nobody,
Yeah.
that is not the case. And I know, right? And so if help is given towards you, don't push them away. Like, be thankful that they're there to help you.
Right.
Because if you're stubborn and strict, that means that you're actually closing yourself off towards receiving. And so, if you're in this energy of not receiving, then you're actually blocking your abundance.
Right.
So, anything that comes to you, just say thank you.
Right.
I would like that,
Give
because yeah. So like there's also this way of an energy exchange. So a lot of times people always want to be giving towards people who are in need, or things like that. But that person who is always used to giving has a hard time of receiving.
right.
So, like, it's always good to just open yourself up, and it's okay, because that is how we're all connected with one another. It's not like you're going to be forever good on your own, you
Right.
know. There'll be a time where, people, may not be doing so well. And that is where, we could use help, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's about like, letting go of ego and pride and envy and all of these low vibrational energies and really come from a place of love. But where that comes from is that, we're just too stubborn to really acknowledge this. But now's the time to really open yourself up to the universal flow, if you will. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
yeah.
this moon is really supportive of that. Like, um, we're also at the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. It was technically on like the 22nd and 23rd. And that's when there's an exact equal amount of light and dark in the day. So we're at total balance. And all these planets, 6 planets retrograde. It's uh, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, all right now retrograde. And we are heading into October, end of October, 1st of November becomes eclipse season. So
Mhm.
that's a whole like tsunami of shifting energy, right? And this new moon activates the Saturn Uranus square that we have been dealing with all year. And so that can kind of feel like up and down, all around. You think things are cool, and then you get turned upside down and look in another direction. And it's about being pliable, flexible, open minded, not afraid, be fearless in whatever it is you want to accomplish. Because this time, this year period, in all aspects of astrology is about, reviewing ground you've already crossed. Are you making the right choices that meet your goals for the future as we get into 2023 and some more historic astronomical kinds of aspects between planets? So we're living in a time of humanity that none of us are old enough to have ever remembered or have been here in the 3D before. I believe that on some metaphysical soul felt level, our soul is stirred. Like we know we've been part of humanitarian change in prior lifetimes, but it's just on the edge of our memory. We can't quite remember. Um, the There's been hurricanes in Mexico and a typhoon in Japan, and these are all the earth speaking to this vibration of shifting and changing. And it's easy to get swept up in that fear or dread, but really we need to focus on being very patient with ourselves and stay calm while we're the calm ones amidst everybody else's chaos, and not allowing everyone else's chaos to infringe on your sense of calm or peace. And that's very challenging too, when we're only human, so we're going to have these emotions that go up and down. And that's so funny. No More Lies. You say you're cleaning out your room. We were just talking before the live how we've both been just cleaning like a banshee and wanting to clean out and declutter and start fresh. And, maybe things that you were not ready to let go of a couple of years ago. Now you're like, why am I hanging on to this? Let someone else use it. Like pay the energy forward. Like we were talking about selling clothes online and some experience with that, and in terms of if you're not using it, pass it on for other people to enjoy or to get that benefit of renewal. And when we make space for that's clear. I've always read in feng shui, like, keep part of your shelf anyway in your closets clear. I mean, it's sort of a mirror of the mind. There's clarity somewhere where you might be confused too. So this energy is a lot with Uranus. That's electricity and the internet. A square to Saturn you could have, nice even flow and be fine. And then an outage, you could have rolling outages. So, with Uranus and Taurus, that's banking and financial systems. You may have glitchy things happening with ATMs, or I know a few times it seems like I go to log into my bank and it's under maintenance, or delays, because retrogrades can also mean bringing delays to things. So also going on, and would be Mars and Gemini is squaring these planets, mainly Neptune and Venus. And that's really good for being inspired, a new creative project, using your imagination. You've been doing great creating all your journals and your new tarot deck. I mean, that's so doing the energy. And what I feel strongly, it's just a personal thing. And I do think, interpretation and astrology are all basically in a person's perspective. But, when you're going through shifts and hard times and things that are very difficult, getting creative is a way to try to, wean out good things from that energy. I
Well, I
know.
know that I had so much going on. Like, I literally have like 3 notebooks of writing down ideas and notes. And
Right.
I took 2 days off from the overload of information that I received. And as things were slowing down for me to mentally process it, then I was able to focus. But even with that level of focus, at that point, I felt like it wasn't going fast enough. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Saturn will restrict us. It will say, slow down,
Mhm.
double check your information. Is it really what um, we may have a thunderstorm rolling in here if you lose me. I'm just going to preempt that. I hope not, but it's looking pretty dark and I'm hearing it rumble. I'm not sure if y'all can hear it rumble in the back or not.
That's
Um,
you say that because later on this evening, I have a thunderstorm video for you guys to enjoy.
oh, that's wonderful. We're right in tune then. And no more lies. I'm with you. We go through times in our life to declutter people, not just things in our life. If you're around a toxic environment or people that do not want to support your highest good, then, we have to protect, ourselves. It is that interdependence. It's like we're not dependent on someone for our well being. We have to have our own sense of well-being, and then being able to interweave that with our communities and humanity. I've pointed this periodical out before, and I just picked this up yesterday. It's the fall 2022 version of Parabola. And this is a periodical that covers many different cultures and philosophies, regardless of what you practice. And its theme is all about belonging and to hold one's own. So I highly recommend this. It just makes you think deeper, when, like, get your mind off of what's bothering you. I once heard it put, clean your way through depression. And are you laughing at something in the chat?
Yeah, Shabaka. She's just being Shabaka.
That
She
is so
said that
cute.
she hates
You
thunderstorms.
hate that. I love thunderstorms. These are angels bowling. Um, So, big theme of grounding, making sure that your energy, that, what you're processing is yours alone, that you're not, psychically absorbing other people's energy and then reacting to it. This is about getting really clear on um, what what is it you want to manifest for. We're coming into the fall. The new year is always a time to evaluate and reflect. And I'm not big on telling people to make resolutions, but certainly an idea of short-term, long-term goals that you want in your personal life or professional life. Or, oh, there was just a flash of lightning. Okay. So, uh, um, so also, an interesting combination of this energy is we've been under a Neptune Venus opposition, Neptune and Venus 180 degrees apart. And that I've always felt like is the seduction of Neptune to make our soul maybe venture or a journey into uh, a field or a relationship or something that maybe is a little out of our normal routine. Neptune puts rose colored lenses on our face, and we see someone. I'm going to speak mainly romantically because that's where it probably hurts the worst when Venus is separating from Neptune right now. So, someone that you may have been seduced by or wanted to seduce that you thought was, you know, ticked all the boxes. As Venus separates from Neptune over the next several weeks, more clarity will come to that relationship. Like you'll be able to, um, there's something that Neptune Venus does to our mind. Like we just are not in tune to red flags. We may accept behavior that under.
I think we lost you, Sonny. Oh my gosh. Sonny. Let me see. I know, right? She's frozen. So let me go ahead and take her offline for a bit and see if she'll respond to me and see what is going on her end. So, yeah, in regards to like this energy also, she was talking about something about interdependence, right? And I was actually taking some notes from one of the teachings I had a few days ago, and it's about when you're going through a lot of stress and things aren't really working out. um, it's a time for meditation, right? And as you know, I've been talking about meditation for such a long time, and there's really two types of meditation. So just to give you guys an update, her internet went out. So yeah, so she's going through some thunderstorms and it took out her internet. So we're gonna see if she comes back in, but she will try back again. So I wanted to share with you, okay, so there's two different types of meditation. One is a meditation that I always advocate, which is calm abiding meditation, or samatha meditation, which I do have a meditation video on how to do that type of meditation. So that meditation is about focusing on the breath and doing a deep breath meditation to help clear your mind. The second meditation is Vaspana, which is about your body, your feelings, and phenomena. It's clarity of insight type of meditation. So, this meditation is all about life experience. And it kind of focuses on the nature of your mind and how interdependence is really important to us. So let's see. So everything comes from the root, right? So if we have like some root issue, it came from some situation. So if we go back to the root cause of, the reasons why we need to do like a meditation, possibly because, things aren't going too well for you, or there's something that you lack clarity on. This is a type of meditation to really just focus on the events that happen in regards to your feelings and what you're seeing. And once you understand where it's coming from, then you can heal and transform those things or conditions that happened in the past, and know that we are all interconnected. Okay, just because you say that you don't need somebody, or you don't care, based on whatever had happened, just know that we're all connected through some sort of karma. And that is something that you can't really get rid of, because we're always interacting with people on a daily basis. And there's two different viewpoints on how you could look at these obstacles or conditions that is caused from many different types of phenomena. And it depends on the various factors to clear unfavorable situations. And also, we can't do everything by ourselves. So again, if you feel like, yeah, I don't need your help, thanks, but no thanks, you know, uh, if you think you can do everything on your own, then you're really mistaken. Okay, that's just pride and ego that's kicking in. If you have help that is being offered to you, then accept the help that is actually coming towards you, because that is like, a gift from the universe that, you needed help. Maybe you're just too proud to accept it. Accept it, you know, and you never know what kind of experiences, positive experiences that could happen, because by having someone help you in a way when you need it at that time, because universe is sending you someone that is helping you, then that actually is really good in terms of karma, right? You can't just always be giving, like what I said earlier before. um so how can we overcome this obstacle, if you will? So the first one is that you can do it by yourself, but interdependently. And then the second one is you do it by relying on others, but interdependently. So the thing about this is that if you understand interdependence and have like an outside perspective of how you are connected to other people, places, and situations for causes and conditions that happen in your life, just observe it and then let it go. Try not to be so fixated on this kind of thing that is happening in your current life. And what I'm seeing here is that this is about self power, how you see or manage the factors of interdependence. So, if you understand yourself and where you fit in and how other people are surrounded you, then you actually have that awareness, right? Or that knowledge of where you're at, where people are coming to you, and for the reasons why they're surrounded in your life. And then you have to figure out how you could fit all the pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, like why is this person coming towards you? Okay, what was the cause or condition based on that? And it'll make you think, okay, well, one thing kind of led to another, and it was kind of like a manifestation, if you will, of this particular person coming through. And I see her, Sunny. She is back. So let's see. So, Sunny, if you can hear me, I added you, but I don't see your camera. But I see you down here. Let's see. Sunny. Hold on. I know. I'm trying to get Sunny back on. Thank you for your patience. um, so I kind of lost my train of thought, but the second way is the power of the mind, and which includes other people. Okay, there is no way that you can make it in life without being dependent on other people. Okay, it's not like you are so codependent on someone. It's just that everyone has a place, and how they're connected to you. And you just have to understand what the connection is. And the reasons for not accepting people's help is because of pride, jealousy, being indebted to other people. This could be envy, and so on and so forth. So, giving is also receiving, right? I think I talked about that before. And you lost internet again. She will try again. Sorry, guys. No more. Take my foot where the sun don't shine. Okay, honey. Um, so in order to open your heart, you have to accept the generosity that is given to you. Also, if you're the one that is really stubborn to accept other people's help, I know a lot of people, they say thanks, but no thanks. That's just like, let's say that you're well off, and you saw a bunch of homeless people under the bridge, and you're financially capable of offering those people like warm clothes and maybe food to eat, um, and then you get offended that the homeless people didn't want to take your kindness, your generosity, because of the assumption, right? Like, you would assume that they needed that because they're homeless, but because of the homeless person, they possibly wouldn't take it because of maybe being too prideful of their situation. They don't want to accept other people's help because they're in a place of need. But if something was really given to them, then accept people's kindness and say thank you, because nobody is going to be in a situation where they're good all the time. We all have our ups and downs. So let's see. Yay.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm telling you though, it was like a monsoon just blew through here. It was that quick.
I
And I
can't
was,
went.
yeah, I can't, yeah, just like we were talking about that Saturn square Uranus. That's an exact example. But I was getting text messages on my phone from my internet carrier saying there's been a widespread commercial outage. And then another text said, it appears to be okay. And that's when I tried to come back on. And then another wave of this dark sideways rain and thunder. Isn't that weird? We're doing the energy. I
I
don't
know.
have to say anything. This is it. Are you reading cards?
No, I was telling them about like my Buddhist teaching about
Yes.
interdependence, and I finished it.
It's
So
very appropriate for everything that's the mixture of planets right now.
I guess so. I'm there right with you. It's like
It's crazy. I do
yeah.
apologize for the interruption. I generally have fairly good internet, but boy, I was sitting here watching this big black cloud come and the thunder, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but it ran through here.
Uh-huh. Well,
So
I'm glad that you're safe and
yeah,
you're back.
yes, I think some limbs flew down, but nothing hit anything important. So that's
Well,
good.
that's good. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how where I was leaving off and I was just about finished was as Venus and Neptune separate, we get really clear on people and situations. And that can go either way. Sometimes it's like confirming an instinct you had, like you knew there was something off. A very typical example is you've met someone and you're dating, but they're never available on weekends. So Neptune will kind of cloud your judgment about, oh, but you feel so good when you do see them, and you'll make excuses for them why they can't ever be available on
That's because
weekends.
they're living a double life.
That's right. And as Venus and Neptune separate, you find the text on the phone or some other indication that things were not as you thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be extremely painful and heartbreaking. But the good thing, and what a Buddhist would say is it's a heart opening, is that, sometimes it takes the seduction of Neptune to lure us in to even be willing to romance or be open. So there's sort of this ironic, we want to stay safe and, want everything perfect maybe before we journey into a relationship. But that's not the reality of the universe. We're here to experience a spectrum of emotions, and the good come with the bad. And just like the fall autumn equinox, we're striving for balance. We're in a Libra new moon, which is about the scales. It's a cardinal air sign that's all about balance. They will collect all the information before they make a fair decision. It rules courts and judges and legal proceedings. I pulled out my 100-year-old crystal Libra scale for everyone to see on this occasion. And it's from Italy. It's about 100 years old. And, it's good to find that balance. If things are too far one way, there's always going to be an adjustment. If we can find our inner balance between our masculine energy and our feminine energy, between emotions like never too high, never too low, that's a good space to be in. And I think that experiences in life set us up to learn those lessons. And I didn't really follow through with the parabola. The subject matter for this quarter is belonging, like finding where you belong. And if you're not where you belong, taking the steps to get where you need to be. We have the Aries full moon on October 9th. So Mars rules Aries. Mars is in Gemini right now. And see, there's a lot of information coming in. And with that Neptunian and retrograde energy, it could be a lot of smoke and mirrors. So we're in this time where we may feel moments of clarity and know exactly what the deal is and exactly where we're going. And then there'll be this wave of, wait a minute, things have shifted. We have new information now. So we have to adjust our perspective or our attitude or our decision or what we're going to do. And that it's like almost the peak of this year, how these planets have been transiting and aspecting each other. So from, definitely the first part of October through the first of the year, this is going to be more intense. So, using your tools, your meditation videos that you're putting up, which I'm very excited and happy for you about, slowing down. I almost think it's also an opportunity to learn to be patient because, when you get exasperated and frustrated, you tend to be sloppy, right? And because you're just done, you're tired of that project or that thing you have to do or whatever, and there's a internal frustration being processed. So journaling, meditating, walks in nature, or if you're impaired somehow and just can sit at a window and watch nature, we learn a lot from just slowing down and watching nature. It's amazing how therapeutic that can be. We make it so complicated. like, I don't have the money to go get this healing or that service or whatever, but we can sit at a window and just watch and have a profound effect on our energy and our being. And that's what Libra new moon is about, is tapping into what works for you to feel balanced and grounded. What do you do when you start feeling anxiety or anger or frustration? What do you do? So I've always been a, cheerleader for the watcher in our mind. Watch how our thoughts come. This is a big time about triggers, that whole Mars and Mercury retrograde, that information coming in real fast, we may be quick to trigger. And that's what we have to be watchful of. What are you getting triggered about? What is the, usually when we're angry or upset about something, it's the cover up for a fear. We're fearing something. We're going to lose that opportunity. We fear we're going to lose that person. Whatever makes you feel that sense of security, and linking it into what you were talking about, finding belonging, finding, your contribution to your community or circle of friends, or, probably a lot of us could honestly say that meet in these kinds of genres are kind of counselors to friends. People probably naturally come to you for advice, or they want to know how you feel about something, or what would you do about something. And we also have to use our tools to make sure that we're not absorbing, like, do you ever feel like sometimes you're tired and grumpy and you don't really know why? Because basically you've been having a good row of things, and it's probably something you've picked up externally from someone else, or someone trying to put their stuff on you energetically. So I was also reading about the incredible solar flares coming off of the sun right now. So we're under a great, like, tsunami of energy, of changes and shifting. And we just need to try to stay balanced and calm the best we can, and let the chaos kind of, run itself out, not getting tied up in it and, jerk reaction to every little thing. But if something is, you're planning and you're going a certain direction and you get a hiccup in it, before you react, just pause, count to 20. What's really the trigger? What really hit you on that? And it may just be a necessary delay, and delays are usually for a positive reason. uh,
Right.
and so that's really the essence of this energy. As we get into October, we have a Scorpio solar eclipse on October 25th and a Taurus lunar eclipse on November 8th. So this new moon and fall equinox are kind of the, not technically a midpoint, but might feel like, the calm before the storm, or the eye of the storm, or things are, you can
I feel it
almost,
right now,
you
honey.
can almost sense like a rumble of something, but we're not sure what, and we're just trying to live our life and do what we have to do. But I do think that the anecdote for all of it is creativity. Get creative. As I was scrubbing my kitchen today, I kept getting that movie scene in my head from I think it was called not Silence of the Lambs. What was the next Hannibal? So, the police detective gets suspended because she had something was planted against her. Something behind the scenes against her was going on, and she was taking the hit for it. So she goes home and pours herself some bourbon and starts scrubbing her kitchen. And there's something to that whole, if something's happening to you and it's really not your fault, and you just kind of have to wait it out, doing what I'm seeing some in the chat of clean out a closet, you know, scrub a floor, get rid of a negative friend, do this sort of purging, because we have another wave of energy coming over the next few months and I look at it as a good thing, but people in general don't like change. And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the human journey, I believe, is that change is permanent. I mean, if you're looking for something stable and permanent in your life, then embrace change, because that is the one thing you can count on, that things never stay the same. The planets are always moving, you know, it's an ongoing process. And so I feel like this new moon is sort of for us to prepare, um, what makes you feel grounded and secure and calm. Are you drinking too much coffee? Do you feel jittery? And when you really look at what you take in, the caffeine is, you could do something about limiting things with caffeine to get rid of that nervous, jittery feeling, because the energy is nervous and jittery. So I'm
So
sitting here trying to talk, and I feel like I'm,
well,
I'm trying to talk real fast in case I lose internet again.
no, you're fine. No, I've been switching over to peppermint tea. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, because it has no caffeine, and I like to
good
drink
idea.
white tea. So
So
yeah.
Libra rules ovaries, kidneys, lower back area. And, one of the most valuable things I ever learned was, now the standard thing for like urinary tract infections or any kind of bladder infections is cranberry juice. You're always told, if you feel some kind of bladder or urinary tract infection, drink cranberry juice. But that has a lot of it has sugar in it or something processed that we aren't sure of. But B vitamins are something to do, they balance the pH in our urinary tract system. So, and you can't take too much, whatever that you don't absorb in your body. I don't want to say that's ascorbic acid, but anyway, it's an imbalance in your pH. So again, what's in the diet, uh, and adjust. I just feel like humanity's coming into a time where our lives are going to be getting simpler, but yet innovated. So there's this weird, again, contradiction
Hmm.
about,
It's
you
like
know,
an energy clearing, and then working from what is visible, from what I
right,
feel. I mean,
right.
very similar to that thing I was telling you about my notepad, and I had like a slew of ideas, and it was just so much, right? It was overwhelming, and
Yeah.
I needed like a few days to like, okay, let me just weed out like, the stuff that okay, it doesn't really
And
put
evaluate your,
right.
the process of review, evaluate, reflect, what have we all connected to from our past that might be a pattern that we're looking at again. What was the lesson we learned from one thing or another? Um, you know, we're all here together because we've had some kind of profound twin flame relationship experience. So, when I talk about, these energies, let's take it to a real personal sort of level and how we relate to another human being and what are we here to learn from intimate relationships, and
Mhm.
have we uh, somehow sabotaged ourselves in a relationship? Is it a pattern that goes back to something from early days, early experiences in relationships? That's what Saturn Uranus squaring does, is it makes us, reflect on prior experiences and review like a current day experience, and how are those similar. People are usually different, the faces are different, but whatever that pattern is. And you brought it up at the beginning of our discussion about, sometimes the rub in a new relationship is one or the other or both people just have a hard time receiving love. Like
Mhm.
it's that, you know,
That pushing away.
distrust or whatever is created the wall, or why you don't want to let someone in, or be vulnerable. And that's the scariest thing in the world, right? When you meet somebody and they make you feel like, I want to be vulnerable. And
And you
uh,
can't.
we probably wouldn't all be here if that worked out, right? And so it's painful, and we have to learn how to process that pain and not let it influence that next opportunity. You meet somebody, and um, I was hearing someone talk about the red flags for drug addiction, right? So, that with people with any kind of drug or alcohol addiction, they're not in a healthy space to have a stable commitment. A lot of times their lives are full of chaos, and they almost will intentionally cause chaos because it's the energy of, I just need to have the next buzz. That's really their priority. So if you've had that a few times in your life, and then you meet someone new and you see those red flags, Saturn says, did you learn your lesson? Do you want to go through this merry-go-round again? Because, oh, well, you're feeling there's nothing else to do, or it'll be different this time. Generally, patterns of energy don't change that much in terms of what they represent. And so then I feel like there's a lot of soul growth when you can say, um, you wish the best for that person. You want them to deal with their demons, but you're not the person that can help them deal with their demons, because your demon is, I've been codependent and tried to deny somebody has a problem many times in my life, and now I'm going to choose that the best thing I can do is allow that person to decide if dealing with their addiction is what they want to do. And we can't decide that for a person. And there's so much of that on so many levels in our society and all over the world, where it's I think that's again what draws people like us all together in this kind of forum is, we're searching for somebody that's emotionally mature, stable, kind of given up their party days, or, wants to have a depth of love in their relationship, and not just the nonsense of ghosting or cheating, or, whatever thing people go through normally in the very young life. Although I've seen it in mature people too. It doesn't seem to. I think I may have shared this story one time of a woman I knew, like 78 years old, and her daughter answered a personal ad for her to meet this 82-year-old man. And,
Mm-hmm.
she hadn't been involved with anybody in decades. And so she goes and meets this guy, and they strike up what ended up being like a 3 or 4 year long, very intense relationship. And just like, when you first starting to drive or whatever, you'd sneak out and go over to your lover's house or whatever, or you all would sneak out and meet somewhere because you were young and didn't have a lick of sense. And she would do that. She was like 80 years old, driving late at night from his apartment on the other side of town to home, knowing very well she probably shouldn't be out on the road like that. But, they ultimately ended up having those same kind of 16-year-old behavior patterns, where things would get too intense for him, and he, would abdicate or disappear for a few days. And then, so it was just weird to me to be observing people like in their 80s doing the same relationship patterns that they did when they were in their teens. And the funny thing about, and she probably didn't realize she was manifesting this, but right in the beginning, she was like, it feels like we're 16, like they were both manifesting that experience, and those experiences from when you're first, finding out about your intimacy and your body and being with someone. Those aren't necessarily good things you want to go back to. You know what I mean? And especially as you get older. So it doesn't really matter what age someone is. It's looking at, how are they now in terms of spiritual and emotional maturity. And this is certainly an energy that will have a lot of information flying and a lot of ups and downs. So I just say study the course, go slow, don't make too rash decisions that you don't have to. I mean, obviously, if you have something break down and you have to make a decision to get it fixed, that's just living life. But in terms of big, decisions that affect your love and your money, Venus, then you want to really evaluate all that you've learned and what you've been through. This could be a huge thing about money, and maybe you've decided that you need to, save your money for that object that you really need. And you can go without going bowling every week and what it costs or whatever it is, but just reallocating your goals. And that's a simple way of putting this energy is you have a financial goal to save money for a particular thing. And it's probably something that's really grown up, that's no fun to spend money on. And you'd rather spend money on socializing and, trips to the craft store or whatever. And so
Right.
making
So,
more.
like, one of my Buddhist teachers mentioned that things like that is a privilege.
Yes, yes,
The
yes,
things that we take advantage of, like burning incense, is a privilege.
yes.
It's
That's
like not everybody could like choose whatever incense that they want to burn, to
yes.
do like their prayers or their offerings, So we have to really think very simply about the very things that we do have. And, we may think that, oh, well, I don't have like the latest blah, 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 or, like, oh,
Yes.
tough,
Right.
I mean, like, we need to really get back down to the basics, and really
Well,
look at like what's important in our life. Are we like or overthinking the situation? Like, where are our priorities, so to speak? So,
and not taking things for granted, like clean drinking water.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
like hot water, like
Right. Not taking anything or anyone for granted, being more mindful. And this comes to my mind. I actually got apologized to this week by a woman. You know, I really didn't give it two thoughts that she was really rude to me. I just sort of blew it off as, she was having a bad day and she was unhappy. But she actually called me specifically to say, I was really rude to you and I apologize. And, I should not have talked to you the way I did. And, I was in a good mood and I just laughed at, I was like, oh, I knew it wasn't personal or whatever. And so just trying to be more, empathetic towards people, because where we're in this sort of spirituality mode and look at things on the fifth and sixth dimension, a lot of people that we're around are in the 3D, in the thick of 3D, right? They believe everything that they think their life is and what it should be. And when that is shifting and changing, they haven't developed necessarily spiritual tools to process that. And, the suicide rate is up. Um, you know,
homelessness is up in my
yeah,
town.
right.
I
So,
mean, there's like little things about like what they're going to do about the homeless camps.
yeah, I know.
It's crazy. Huh.
And here, no more lies. I see your thing for grateful. Here's a really, I mean, it's never too late to start anything, but the exercise was something that I had heard about and I did it for a full year and it was really kind of cool. But you can just start it now. Get you a jar and some scrap paper and every day write down something you're grateful for. Some days it just might be that you woke up or that, your body's you're walking, you're able to walk, or it could be really simple things, because there's always someone else worse off.
Mhm.
But put it in your jar, your gratitude jar, and then on New Year's Eve, that's your activity, is you're going to make a nice meal or do whatever you like to do that's special for yourself. Mine is to buy a lobster tail and have a good meal and sit down and read all of your gratitude notes. And you do that for a year. So, you can start it now or decide on, New Year's Day, you're going to start a gratitude jar. And every single day, you're going to write something down. And it's a discipline. It makes you take a few minutes to be aware, that the fact that you have any choice at all is huge. um, and then at the end of the year on New Year's Eve, that's your going to be your activity, is you're going to be reading your gratitude jar. And it really makes you feel good. It really makes you feel good. I did it one full year, and then this year I started, and I've just sort of been sporadic, but it was really good to go through the year. And that's what these 6 retrograde planets kind of have us doing, is, reflect on, really, I would say, the last 2 years, and and affirmations. That's a good thing for your jar too. If you don't really feel grateful for whatever situation or thing that's going on, just write down an affirmation like, what was that? We are all worthy of living a happy, healthy, loving, fulfilling life. Absolutely. So, you're so funny, Chewbacca. You're into the chips.
I want some. I'm hungry. You
I
have sour cream and onion.
know she's not sharing either.
I'm hungry, guys. I'm talking about food.
It's so interesting, the technology too, because I know the technology is probably out there that we could probably do something to, smell and taste those damn chips.
Hmm.
So,
No, we can actually do it. We just have to heighten our senses.
right, right.
Yeah.
So some of the other herbs that would fall under the Libra new moon for kidney, bladder type things, or celery, juniper. I said cranberry already. And then kidneys are associated with the emotion of disappointment or criticism. And herbs like dandelion, marshmallow root, Santolina is another a really cool herb you can grow and make a tincture from, and helps with, kidneys are your filter. So that's what's so horrible about our society, is how all of the food manipulation and medications that people get on, they have to go through, the filter, and then that leaves residue. And so, any kind of cleanse or just evaluation of your diet, because these are energies that are really very sensitive to manifestations. So be careful what you think or say, because you could literally manifest it. It's I keep catching myself not worrying about my car, because sure enough, as soon as you worry about something and put the energy to it, then you'll manifest it. And it's happening even more quickly under these kinds of energies. So yeah. So I think I've kind of hit on the high points of what the new moon is about. And we are somewhat at a eye of the storm period as we flow into more of the eclipse season. Eclipses build a lot of energy. They're like 10 times, 100 times more intense than a full moon. So uh, you just may see yourself, um, that was a Medicare client calling on a Sunday night. Anyway, and you're just supposed to be available any old time. But anyway, so just trying to be more patient with yourself and other people is really important. Um, and putting your well-being as a priority. And that's pretty much the theme, like you started, of the difference between being codependent and interdependent, and finding where you belong and finding belonging. If you've been out of a relationship or wondering where a relationship is, maybe it's just a time to feel that belonging within yourself. You know, maybe relationships have manifested out of you haven't uh, thought deserving enough, or been accepting to receive, all those kinds of patterns that we learn from different experiences over our life. So this is a time to, you know, think clearly about what do you want in your life. And when you hear yourself with negative self-talk, or saying something about yourself that's not loving, you know, cancel, clear, control, alt, delete. You know, just don't let your mind get caught up in that, and cut it off. If you're missing someone, or you've broken up with someone and you start, you know, feeling bad, just cut it off, because they're obviously not missing you, or you.
I don't know, honey. Let me just share a couple things with you.
Okay.
In regards to my twin, I haven't heard from him in years, and I haven't talked to him. I haven't seen him. I don't know where he's at, what he's doing, or what his situationship is. I hope he's doing well, and I hope he's happy. I keep seeing his first name, his last name, and multiple times, like in the past couple days, like, and it's not. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. It's like,
But
okay.
I think that it's partially that he's thinking of you as well. I mean, I don't think
Say
people.
my name, like,
Well, that would be probably just. I mean, we're in energies of balance. So, I mean,
I
whatever is
could
good for
not.
the goose
This
is
week
good for
it
the
was
gander.
coming in waves. I
Right.
couldn't get, like last night. I seen it. Today I seen it, and I was looking at the calendar, and it spelled out his name. Like the initials off of like every month. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell is that? Like,
Well, he's on your mind too. So you're manifesting, you know, putting it out there. But I don't think people are alone in those kinds of synchronicities, right? I think there has to be, at
yes,
least on some level, maybe not the 3D level, but in some level of time and space where, you know, you can't feel all that by yourself. You know, there's some other energy to it too. And that's that whole thing about connectedness, and, you know, synchronicities, you know, don't necessarily mean anything other than, I would say, what is the feeling it brings up in you? And that's what we're supposed to be working on. So if you see someone from your past, you know, in a memory, or physically see them somewhere, or um, like you're saying their name, what does it trigger? That's where we're going through these
I can tell you what it took.
energy. Yeah.
I still love him. And it sucks
So,
because nothing I can do about it, but I have to accept things as they are. And my take on this is that I must have did something shitty to him in my past life to be experiencing this. Like, I would think, okay, well, I'm such a sweet person, and I'm such a giving person, and there's so many people who admire and adore me, but how come for him it's not that way, you
well, I
know?
think number one, and I think you've probably shared this with the group, and I'm not speaking online, but he likes to drink. Okay,
Mhm.
that's number one. And that energy will keep a person from receiving love. So it's nothing that you're not doing or can't provide, but that his soul cannot has not learned how to receive your love. Your love is overwhelming to him. And, you know, I think he's probably influenced by other people to do other things. And the drinking sort of anesthetizes that ability to make assertive decisions and get things the way he would he would want them if he were sober. So
Mhm.
that's where, you know, talking about drug and alcohol addictions affects romantic and personal commitments, because you're not dealing with who he really is.
I
right.
realized that, that, and I told
And
him,
okay, and so the point, so then the next layer of that is, and this journey is about learning unconventional love, that you can share with all of us that you still love this person, and you have to accept that he's making other decisions and being with other people, and that, and still being able to love under those conditions means you've learned unconditional love, and that's where you get kudos, and the universe bringing gifts into you and opportunities into you, because you are a loving being who cannot not only give love but can receive love. So I think sometimes, what's that old adage about rejection is
for you.
rejection is protection.
Mhm.
Like, if we're really honest with ourselves, and that's that Neptune Venus thing about, do we really want to be with someone that has a regular lifestyle habit of drinking heavily all the time? I mean, does that make them reliable to show up when you need them to show up, or be there for you when you need help? I mean,
No,
um,
and I understand like the reality of why things are not the way they are in a physical
right,
sense, and I've accepted it, but it doesn't help when I'm like reminded by universe, and it triggers memories and thoughts and
right.
connection.
It is. And that's part of the human experience, right? If we were out there in light, not hampered by this,
I think
3D.
that's really mostly for all twin flames.
Yeah,
Yeah, they try to move on. They try to forget, they want a new life and a new love, but here comes the twin boop boop, like, hey, you can't forget about me. Like, what?
well, and then there's soulmates, and you know um I think we're all just individually also working out all of our behavior patterns too, in this
Well,
life.
I also feel it has something to do with generational karma.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, because I realized that with my family and their lineage.
Yeah,
I've noticed that with my twin and his lineage, and we're from different type of backgrounds, but very similar in some contexts, but not in a uh, experiential way of how one was going through hardships or difficulties or toxicities in their
right,
life. And so um, I've come to accept it. And also in the Buddhist teaching, which I could, really see with my son because he's autistic, that's karma, for him to experience, like a disability is karma. And
learning how to take help from others is a big
yeah,
part of it.
maybe he was like an asshole in a previous life, and and he took advantage of everybody, and then in this life he chose to be disabled because he had to learn how to be codependent or like
Receive.
interdependent on
Yeah,
other people for you know like helping himself or living his life and
right,
being limited to vocabulary or communication.
right,
So it's like an awareness that like I'm actually seeing from the time, let's just use twin flames, like since I've known my twin up until the present moment. And even like looking at that little like, section
right,
of, life linearly, and then
right,
really using that experience and trying to figure out what happened prior twin flame time.
right,
Was I really blind to really see like and that goes to like my ex-husband, okay? And possibly other relationships that I've had along the way. And like what did I gain from it,
right.
And there are things that like even my son was bringing up about how I was a pushover, how, I didn't really stick up for myself, like dealing with like a narcissistic individual, because I was like the type of person who would just like not say anything and just kind of let things go because I feel like if I triggered him into like rage or anger, then
Right.
I would be afraid of getting abused, because of being in that type of relationship. But then I'm thinking, this is karma. Like, how am I like attracting this type of person when I'm the sweetest person in the whole wide world, right? Like, and why does it happen multiple times? Like, why? And even like you go off and you feel like, okay, I understand my lesson from this relationship. I'm looking for someone different, someone who is not like that. But you still attract the same damn thing. Like, and you're not looking for it, but it's still
My
there.
view on that is that our soul's energy is multi-layered, and on a conscious awareness level, we can recognize our patterns and we can do our best to purge, negativity or looking at things differently. But we're multi-layered, and it takes commitment to wanting to really dig deep, and those triggers that come up. Like, I've always felt like if you can see something that used to trigger you and then it doesn't trigger you anymore, well, hey, that's a
Yeah.
healing.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding.
Yeah. And maybe, you know, those manifestations over and over are just those opportunities to reflect on, wow, I'm healed from that. That doesn't get to me anymore. That used to really piss me off. Da, da, da. Just like that lady calling to apologize for being rude. I can think in the past where my reaction might have just been like, I held a grudge on her and nothing she could have said would have made a difference. But, you know, there's something about letting go and not taking what people do to you personally that helps just keep that,
Yeah, you have to
detached kind of
learn
energy.
and then just say, okay, just let it go.
Right.
Because if you hold on to those energies, it's either going to really affect you, in your health or in your way of thinking. And
And what you manifest in people around you,
right, that energy is going to show for itself. And so if you're a good meditator and you know how to, navigate through these types of experiences, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, fine.
well, here's
Yeah.
another thing that just popped in my mind, and that is free will.
Hmm.
So, two souls can make a contract and come into this life, and that contract is we're going to get married and we're going to be the love of each other's life, and, unicorns and rainbows. And, but free will is part of the human experience. So you might have one soul who's going steps 1, 2, 3, 4 to reach that contractual agreement, and the other soul is getting distracted or making other free will choices
Hmm.
for no reason that we can affect. It doesn't make us less than. It just is the human experience that whole thing about change is permanent, and you might be going down a road that seems like it's perfectly laid and exactly what you want to do, and then just with a blink of the eye, your life can change, or another element it enters the situation that you have to be able to process. And so, I think the whole thing about being patient, detached, loving, and not hard on ourselves, because I think we're all really probably way too hard on ourselves about why things are the way they are, like it's something deficient in us, something we didn't do or something we did do. And it's not. It's just people are people, and they make free will choices, and you can have all the karma you want in between people in a certain plane and time, and anyone can exercise the choice to go a different way. And that just means we have to be flexible. We have to be willing to honor everybody has their decisions that they make. And that's probably the hardest thing in love relationships is so they do go off with someone else and being okay with wishing them well. And I can remember a guy from like 30 years ago. I guess he was like my rebound after a divorce, and man, it didn't work out for us, and the last thing I wanted was for it to ever work out for him. That sort of anger and hurt and everything. And all these years later, it's like sometimes I'll see something that'll remind me of him, and I'll think, well, I hope he's happy now. I hope he found whatever it is. And that's a good space to get to over these different experiences. And some of these really more deeply hurtful experiences have to do with our own family members, right? The people that we were born with. I mean, when they start betraying you and stealing from you and, you know, making decisions that hurt you and affect you, boy, that's your own blood. That's even another level. So I feel like it's a little bit easier to let go of a lover or someone that was a potential romantic partner. But when it's someone in your family that's hurt you, either physically or mentally or both, that's a whole lot harder karma to process. And in astrology, it's believed that, you're with your spirit guides on the other side, um, charting out your chart and the people that you want to come into this lifetime to work out those karmas and those past lives. And you choose who you're born to and the time you're born in. And that's a very hard thing to accept when you've had a crappy life and very little has ever worked out, and your parents for this or your siblings or whatever. It's hard to like look at it as, well, my soul, and that is just a theory of astrology. I'm not saying that
Well,
that
I believe that too, because I feel like that's in alignment with karma. Because, like, for the ones that are having like a really great life, they probably paid their dues. I
you
mean,
just never know. You just never, and you never know on the inside what's really going on, because some of the happiest appearing people and wealthiest are horribly chronically depressed,
well, I know that my friend, she's been married 6 times, but
Oh my goodness.
she's happy now. Like, but it took her 6 tries to get to that one.
That reminds me of Elizabeth Taylor, and the thing that was said about her is that before she'd go to bed with a man, she'd marry him. And that's how she ended up with like 12 marriages, because she would sleep with a man and
Oh wow, so
until
she's really old fashioned, huh?
until you know so who knows, but marriages are karmic.
Mm,
I think a lot of us have experienced relationships where we really don't understand why we put up with what we did or didn't do or go as far as we went. In retrospect, you may look upon that marriage or relationship and wonder, what the heck was I thinking? But if it was a karmic contract, that was something here to come and complete.
mm.
And I've said this before, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but I had an old boyfriend that always said, people are really very funny and you have to keep your sense of humor. And for me, that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever had, because we all really are very funny.
Mm,
And we have to keep that levity, because that's what keeps the vibration high. And a high vibration is what manifests the positive things. When
mhm.
we dwell on the hurt or resentment from past things that didn't work out, or that people hurt us or what they did, it manifests that negative energy. And we're constantly fighting, you know, I want to purge that. I want to let go of that. I want to have a higher vibration. And so, certainly meditation and, oming, singing, whatever the activity is, it's whatever makes your mind focus. Ping pong could be a meditation. If, you're focused on that ball and that's all you do for 45 minutes, I mean, you've had a good meditation.
Mm.
And, so for some reason in this day and age, it just seems to be the rejection of unhealthy, toxic situations. And if that means having to leave family, friends, or lovers, that seems to be this whole, Pluto transit, Saturn, and Jupiter to a fair amount. When signs change, when planets change signs, it shifts generational patterns. So we're, we're in a new age. We're in a revolutionary time. Um, And it's very interesting. And we just have to try to keep interested, keep fascinated by something, whether it's a new hobby or an old creative project you never finished that you can rebirth, or restart something that keeps your mind engaged and focused in something that brings you joy. Like you can uh, finish that book or finish something that you can stand back and go, oh, that feels really good. I accomplished that. And that's really where it's at, I think. And it's definitely challenging.
Yes. So I need to take a quick little break. So
Okay.
you'll be in the spotlight for just like a minute or two, and I'll be right back.
Okay. I gotcha.
Okay.
We'll do some cards when she gets back. And so let's see, what else can I say about this new moon? It's kind of, it's like the push me, pull me. If you've ever remember a children's show about Dr. Doolittle, and he had a llama-looking animal that had two heads, and it was push me, pull me. And this energy is all about, you may feel pushed in one direction and then held back, and that's Saturn Uranus. Saturn wants us to learn our lessons, be still, be patient, be mature, make the grown-up choices. And Uranus is just hot and cold and all over the place and creates chaos. So you could feel like you're really on to something that's a stable path. And then with the Mars and Gemini, and Mercury still retrograde, we're getting a lot of information. Some of it may be triggering. Mars in Gemini can be very short-tempered. Gemini is the twin, so this could be, Mars is also a lot of sexuality. So you could either be, like arguing with your twin or having makeup sex after an argument. That would be very Mars in Gemini. And with Mercury retrograde, that's a lot of information coming in, and having to have the discernment to figure out what information coming in very quickly can we use. We've just come out of, let's see, where are we? So we still have some planets in Virgo, which is that whole discernment, efficiently figuring out what part of the plant we need, and or discarding things we don't need. So yeah, I was just kind of doing the evaluation of these energies, and thought maybe we could pull a couple of cards for each sign. You want to do
Oh,
that?
okay. Yeah, sure.
And I pulled this one out at the Faith Shifters Astrology deck.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna be using my own.
Yes, we'll
Tarot.
do that. Introduce us to your personally created astrology deck, which is a huge, huge accomplishment. And make sure I have them all. This is a huge deck. It's kind of tarot and astrology all together.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you have your Aries sign, your Aries new deck alert. That's right, Chewbacca.
Yes. So it's on pre-order. I am actually waiting on an alternative version. So this one is like kind of like a cardstock, like a natural cardstock, but I opted to get glossy because I feel like the glossy might be better to see. I thought it was going to give like a worse glare, but I wanted to see the difference between the two before I commit to printing a whole bunch of cards. So I won't know until this coming week, hopefully. So yeah, if you guys are interested in it, go ahead and take a look. You could pre-order it on Etsy or on my website. So yeah.
Good stuff. Long time coming.
Yeah, it has been. Okay, so let's
So
see.
Aries is a little bored with the Libra new moon. It's just not fast enough for them. You know, they just Aries wants to go and do and what is you've got a king there,
Yeah, it's the Emperor.
the emperor. Okay.
Right, that's Aries
And
energy.
he's kind of looking bored there too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's sitting there like trying to make plans. Um, but maybe he's got things under wraps, you know. Yeah, I feel like, you know, during this time, maybe Aries is actually sitting and thinking.
Yeah, maybe dwelling too much on one emotion and, look up. Next time, Aries, you're out in the store or walking around, just look up. You might see something on a shelf or something in the sky, but I would say for the new moon and Aries, look up.
Aries is actually thinking a lot, though. But
Yeah,
that's typical for the Libra.
yeah.
Okay. So next we have Taurus.
Oop. Oh, this is Saturn, the King of Pentacles.
And I have a Judgment.
Oh, so Taurus may be having some money issues with the new moon, either getting a new loan or new income flow or
Yeah,
something they've been waiting on that's being paid out.
yeah, I see that either they're renewing, like maybe a contract, or asking for a forgiveness loan or something, maybe. But yeah, there's something that they are trying to make a decision on. That's what I'm seeing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so
Here
yeah,
in business.
heart. Yeah, these energies aren't that great. It's not romantic, that's for sure. Okay, next is Gemini. Oh, okay. As I was speaking of,
Cool.
we have Two of Cups for Gemini.
I got the Knight of Cups.
Okay, yeah. Well, partnerships,
A
love,
lot of
twin
circulating
flame,
information.
and maybe a confession or an offer of love. Maybe Gemini, somebody is willing to open up for a relationship or to a relationship with you. Maybe it's been a couple of months since you've talked to this person, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Gemini
actually
can
a new
be kind
moon.
of chatty. Yeah.
A new beginning for Gemini.
Yeah. Gemini, well, that's also an air sign, which is also Libra. So,
Maybe they're talking things out.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next is Cancer.
Oh, the Chariot.
So I have here Page of Pentacles and it came up in reverse. So it says bad news, lazy, immature, and disloyal.
And the Chariot is, trying to find balance, but also moving really fast. So, I don't feel like Cancer might need to be making some decisions about what direction to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just take it slow. Don't rush it. But once you do, then you can move forward. Just hold back for a few days is what I'm getting with that. Okay, so next we
Cook a
have
pot of chicken soup,
what?
Cancer. Cook
Uh,
a pot of chicken soup.
that sounds good actually, but I have to have it vegan style.
Yeah, cabbage soup.
Yeah, that sounds good. Next is Leo, and I have the Lovers, but it is in reverse.
And I have the King of Wands. So creativity, maybe taking some downtime to finish something creative or start something creative.
But I feel like Leo you may be having some kind of conflict, maybe not knowing what to do with this energy.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Coming from a Leo, I'll second that emotion.
I mean, I also see here third party, so there could be some interference, and that could be a part of the conflict. Um, but yeah, and I really feel like maybe you're not feeling stable, or I'm just speaking to Leos in general. Um, but at least you know what needs to be done. It's just like putting some elbow grease on,
Yeah.
getting through it, and it'll be all right. It's only going to be for a couple of days, anyways, right?
Yeah.
At least for the thick of it, and
Yeah.
then it should like work its way out.
Then we get into the what is this? Scorpio Aries full moon. Aries full moon, October 9th.
Aries is already ready for October to be here. Like,
It's really fired up, that's for sure. Very
uh-huh.
reactive. For fire signs, very reactive energy.
Yeah. So next we have Virgo.
I have the Seven of Cups.
Oh, I also have the star.
Oh,
Yeah. So, hmm. This is,
Virgo may be realizing some dreams or manifesting some good choices or
I hope so. I mean, there's faith, there's a sense of renewal, healing, becoming more spiritual, or tapping more into their spirituality. But there's hope. So there's maybe a decision that seems to be a good decision. I don't know. I'm getting good vibes off of it.
yeah, we still have a lot of positive Virgo aspects going on that kind of help us with grounding.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because I really feel like that's in connection with the Libra energy because we just
Yeah,
had the passing of the Virgo.
right.
So next is Libra.
And a Libra new moon for Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop.
All right. So I have Four of Swords, but it's in reverse.
And I have the Queen of Wands with a big old sunflower,
Mm.
the
Well,
black.
I'm getting like an awakening, but maybe you're losing faith. And I don't know, maybe like the pursuits that your projects that you're working on, but you're healing, you're working on yourself. Maybe trying to get your head out of this energy.
So Libras will spend a lot of time weighing the facts and end up just procrastinating and doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe getting stuck in still trying to weigh the facts. I see the sunflower and the black cat as, the devil and the angel on each shoulder trying to work it out between them, like, do I, don't I? Push
Mm-hmm.
me, pull me.
It's like they know what they want, but they don't know if it's gonna work out. That's what it feels like. But you'll be all right, Libra. It's gonna be
Yeah,
okay. It's only temporary, right?
that's right. It's always changing.
Uh huh. So next we have Scorpio.
And I have the sign of Cancer, another water sign. So that's honing in those instincts very sharply.
Yeah,
So,
and I have the High Priestess.
so this is Scorpio being extremely instinctual and intuitive, and you only get in trouble if you ignore your intuition.
Right? Do you see the cleavage on Cancer's
Yeah.
like dress? And then look at the High Priestess. She got a similar dress on, but you can't see hers. So it feels like Scorpio, you're learning to expose yourself, following your intuition about your feelings. And you know that you're possibly desirable. You know that, you're worthy of love. And, if you're thinking about it, I really feel like you're going to do something, At least that's what it
Yes.
seems like.
Yes. I think it's good stuff for Cancer, or I mean, Scorpio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good change because in the past couple of readings, I think they were kind of closed off.
Been kind of dark.
Yeah. So Sag is next, and Sag is, I don't know, let's see.
I got the Three of Pentacles.
Okay, and I have here the Hangman in the reverse.
So maybe starting a new venture or practice, the apprentice, building their temple, maybe having to start over financially with regrouping with money.
But there is like this indecision on what you want to do, and I feel like they're stalling right now. Um,
Yeah.
so it's very much like, I think it was that Libra energy. As much as you want to, like, take action and move things forward, you're holding back. But I feel like this is temporary. There's something about this Libra moon where it's like you want to do so much, but it's like,
So that is the Saturn Uranus square being reactivated. Saturn, Earth being very grounded, mature, the authority, and Uranus being air, on and off, cagey, shifty. So that what you just said is exactly the energy. Is you feel like you've got a plan, you methodically can move forward, and then a storm comes through and knocks
yeah,
out your internet.
right. It's like, yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah, next time.
Oh my god, thanks.
Change of plan.
I know. So next we have Capricorn.
Whoop. And I got Scorpio.
And I have Chariot, which is Cancerian. So lack of direction, there's obstacles.
Pretty intense for Capricorn. This is kind of getting down to the bone of the matter. No fluff here.
Mm-hmm.
Showing
Really?
what you're made of. Just using pure instinct.
Like using more of your intuition, especially if you don't know what to do.
Right.
I really feel like, Capricorns are equipped to figure out like a way.
Right. They're very resourceful.
Right. Like there's a plan B, so
Always another plan.
and
Right.
also, even though it's difficult, they still know how to trudge through the difficulties. So I think that Capricorns, y'all be okay. Just
Well, and see, keeping your sense of humor.
yeah, there you go. So next we
Lot
have,
to be said for laughter. It's very healing. And
it is. I'm not gonna lie. For the past couple of days, I was feeling really down, and I felt this on a Friday. I don't know what happened on Friday or where the stars or the
I
planets
think
were
that
aligned.
was the exact fall equinox, wasn't it?
No, that was the day after. I think the fall equinox was on a Thursday. So this was on a Friday, and it felt funky to me, and it felt like I couldn't do anything.
So
So,
we had two sun changes. Moon and Mercury both entered Virgo on Friday. So that might have been peeling away waste or figuring out a more efficient way to do something. Or
well, that
that's
that was that time where I said, you know what, this is not the day to be manifesting shit. Like I was like, girl, you need to just stop. Don't work. Just take the day off. But my mind was still like going pew pew pew. Like okay. I was writing my stuff down, but I was like, you know what, I don't have any energy to like go after this. Or
connecting with nature.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, so Aqua. I have Eight of Swords in reverse.
Oh, I got Capricorn.
So, with the Eight of Swords, it says escape, freedom, options, and overcoming obstacles, which I was talking about Capricorn energy. Like they can overcome anything, right?
Right. They work very hard to get to the top of that mountain.
So, Aquarius, this is good because now you can get out of your head about a situation. You can do something about it, which is
Right.
really good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the rest of the zodiacs could benefit from that.
Right. So we're at
Oh, we're at Pisces.
Pisces.
Huh. Ooh. I have Five of Pentacles, and it says financial loss, poverty, and isolation.
And I have Aries, being
Ooh.
impulsive, hard-headed, a little self-absorbed there.
So maybe you thought something was going to go some way, but that's that Neptunian energy, right? Where there's a parting of Venus and Neptune.
Yeah,
And
and you see
like the
things
illusion is like, whoa, like, oh shit.
right.
They're
But
glad.
there's always a point to that, right? There's always a reason to be lured into something. There's either a karmic there or something to learn from your reactions to that situation, right?
I'm assuming, and I really feel like Pisces was either planning on something or putting, like, I don't want to say all their eggs in one basket about a situation. At least that's what it feels like. And now it just seems like, damn.
Well, Aries would mean too, maybe starting something new with children, um, maybe a new school program, something children related. They're the first sign of the Zodiac. So they represent children or the inner child. Pisces may, connect the dots with something from their childhood that has affected their adult life, but it took some epiphany to figure that out with the new moon. Like maybe just making the decision that whatever that thing from the past is just not going to affect the future, and just choose it. Just choose to not let that thing still interfere with life.
That's kind of difficult, though.
Yeah, very spiritual journey, right?
I guess everyone almost there. I think there was two signs that had a decent, like, kind of situation. At least it's not as hard as the rest of us. But it seems like the energy is really, it's like it's like you have to go through it. Nobody gets a hall pass.
And Libra is about justice. So
Yeah, so I guess we all are.
balancing the scales of justice, and that may be karmic justice. And
Hmm.
that might not make any sense to the 3D mind here and now, but somewhere out in the ethers, in another plane of time, it's perfect balance. And I think that's what gets frustrating. Frustrating is, something really crappy might happen and not make sense, but somewhere in the universe it makes sense.
Like an alternate universe, parallel universe situation.
Balance of energies, right?
There's something, because I mean, there's a lot that's going on in the world, and there's like repercussions, right? We were talking about interdependence,
Right.
and it's like everyone is going through it differently, and it's learning how to navigate through those energies, and everyone is kind of karmically involved, right, if you will.
Well, one of the things that it seems has been something repetitive for me lately has been just choosing, like something might really tick me off, but then just choosing, it's sort of a throw your hands up in the air and like, okay, well, that wasn't the thing to do.
Hmm.
Something is not, you know, working out, giving you, a higher vibe feeling. If it's bringing you down, then are you supposed to, you're not supposed to be in that space. But our minds get so set on, this is the plan. This is what my plan is. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to get to it. And then, in comes the wild card. And, that's where I think our ability to be flexible is also important to nurture during this fall. Is you may have a lot of sudden plan changes, and how do you respond to that? Do you get really down and
No, that was the thing about me this past couple days. I was like, well, why am I experiencing like this down energy? I was like, girl, get yourself out of that. I was like, no,
well,
you have
you
to
a
really
lot of
see the
readings
positive out
you
of
know,
it.
pick up from other people. It's not even your energy. you
Well,
know,
yeah,
when
but that's what I mean. Sometimes we have to learn how to transmute those energies.
right.
I talk about it all the time, and I'm not perfect, and I can get into like these like weird energies, and I'm like, take a shower,
Yeah.
watch something, to
Yeah.
change your vibration.
Right.
Don't stress over whatever it is I'm stressing on,
Right.
and everything is going to work itself out because we've been through those times before. Why? What's so different now? It's nothing that we haven't really
We
gone
look-
through.
Yeah. Just the way we
But
look
I
can
but I
change.
know that sometimes it could be more difficult than others. But I'm looking at it like this: our spirit guides and our ancestors who have crossed over, they're here with us.
Yeah.
That at least their energy, and they're in support of us. We just have to kind of tune in to that frequency and really kind of listen to like the nudge that they're actually communicating to us. At least that's what I was like, really, because I was just laying on my bed watching some old dramas, historical
Yes.
dramas and stuff, and I was thinking about my grandma, and I was like, getting all emotional because my grandma used to go up this mountain in the dark, and there was like a cemetery or grave, and she was a very poor lady. She wasn't well off. She's a country woman, and I was in that moment. I was thinking about how my grandma was and why my mom is the way that she is now, but like skipping over another generation, here I am, and I see that a part of me is actually a reflection of my grandmother, who I
Right.
never knew much about, like in her youth. I only hear like little bits and pieces, but based off of like what I was seeing on that historical drama, and like comparing it to like my present moment, I was listening to like what my grandmother was speaking to me through like these trigger moments that I was having, and I was like, what, we'll be all right. Like, why am I stressed over X, Y, and Z? And I got like a sort of nudge or reassurance from
Right.
the spiritual grandma. I call her like
Right. I do know what you mean. And that's so wonderful to be able to, you know, share that with others, to give people ideas of, how do I not let that trigger take me down for 3 days or a week? How
Oh
can,
yeah, as soon as it enters into your awareness, figure out, why are you feeling like that?
yeah,
And if that is the case, okay, how can you change it? Why am I going to let that, because I'm a Capricorn and time is precious. Why am
right.
I going to allow myself to get into that state for even like a couple of minutes? I'm like, no, like
I don't have time for this.
exactly. Like I want to be uplifting. I want to be high vibe. I want to be, spiritually in a place where I'm well and I'm doing good. And, and just get out of that energy. And so I was able to do it, and instantly. Now I'm not saying instantly, but
Right.
after resting that night,
Right.
I've gotten the answers that I needed. And I was like, you know what? Like, see, I was like, why was I even tripping? Like,
I know. I know. It's that watchful mind, being watchful of our
yeah,
thoughts.
it's the monkey mind. And
Right.
so, like, once you get yourself into a state of thinking, try not to be so fixated on that negative energy, and say, you know what? F it, like, I'm not gonna let that thing get me down.
Right.
Things are gonna come in the time and the way that things should be. Everything is gonna be okay. And really believe that, because I had to sit down and watch a movie just to like change my vibration.
Right. Right.
And then that's where I got the trigger, getting my grandma into the picture. I was like, "Oh, grandma, you here with me? Oh, thank you." And I started crying. I was like, "Okay, grandma."
Right. Right. I understand. And you mentioned it, and it's worthy of repeating. We are dealing with generational patterns.
Mhm.
And, you know, there's no right or wrong about whether you perpetuate that generational pattern or not.
Well,
It's
it's like really like understanding it, looking at the history. It's really like I want to say
if it's a little
historical,
unclear, yeah.
right? Like I guess like a point in time, and like what can we do or ourselves on an individual level to change that karma that you're receiving over many lifetimes or generations before you. And I'm like, you know
We,
what? I can do this. Like, we don't need this negative karma, you know. Yeah, you know, it's hard.
doing things differently than you're comfortable with. So that
Hmm.
brings up the north south node axis in a natal birth chart. You know, the
Well,
south
isn't
node,
it that I have like a Libra that's at that where it's at the 28 or 29 degrees in my birth chart?
I would have
Isn't,
to look at it.
I forgot. I think so. It's like my Libra aspect is like at the end, and that's where.
So the south node is all about past life behaviors that are comfortable to us because
Mhm.
we've done them a lot. And the idea of reaching for the north node, it takes us out of our comfort zone. So to break those generational patterns is about, you know, when given a situation, the thing that might be comfortable to do is not the thing that breaks the pattern. You know,
Right.
I think we're challenged to reach out of our comfort zone to break those patterns. And, you
And I've
know,
talked about that too. So, like on my Facebook recently, I came across a picture of my office that I started 13 years ago.
me, that's
I
so
know.
neat.
And at
So
the
a
time,
lot of reflecting over the past during this time,
oh yeah,
a lot of
I mean,
going over prior ground.
I've done it. I haven't had like past people reach out, but there were past nudges of stuff that
Yeah,
I've seen. And
reminder
yeah,
notices.
one of them was that I had a corporate job that I was really like well off. Like I was making really good money. I had a 401k. I had benefits. I had health, you know, medical, whatever. I had everything. And I gave it up to open up my own business, which it wasn't easy. I
No,
struggled.
it's not.
And but I did it and I stuck with it, and 13 years later I am still
You're
like
still going
self-employed
strong. Yeah,
and never went back towards corporate America.
yeah.
And it kind of was ironic because it's a media company.
Yeah.
Right? And so like all of the training that I've learned, and prior to that I was laughing again because the stuff that I was working on in the corporate job was psyops related, okay, and it was like dealing with the TAC course, which is I don't want to say because
Yeah,
but I call it TAC, okay, and it prepared me for what's going on right now. And
right,
so it was really kind of like strange. And I went through so much hardships over the years. It wasn't an easy thing. It
right,
wasn't like I got a, I kind of cut myself off cold turkey 13 years ago, but like it was a beautiful journey. And again, that's why I was looking at my twin flame connection, my connections of the past. I even like recently I had my ex-boyfriend that helped me move here
oh,
from North Carolina to Washington, and he's married now, but I remember, okay, like when he helped us move me and my boys over, my boys actually really liked him, and he liked my kids. He's a really nice person, and yeah, he's a truck driver, so he's not like my normal type that I go for. I mean, even before when I was with him, he wasn't that, he was something else. But I remember that we had a lot in common, like our hobbies, um, and we didn't work out. And I told him about this because he was the one who ghosted me. And I contacted him, and some girl messaged me and says, "You need to stop." I'm like, wait a minute. When did I get cut off? It's like I didn't know that we were all of a sudden not in a relationship. Like
Right.
what the fuck, you know? I mean, I
I
was like
missed the
really like,
memo. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, well, where did this happen? Because I didn't get any signs that he was talking to other people. But recently, his birthday had just passed, and I wished him a happy birthday. And I didn't talk to him more than just a happy birthday or try to connect with him. But it got me to think that he was a really good guy. And I had the opportunity to work things out, but he knew the reason why I moved. And a part of the reason was because I want to be closer to my twin, which didn't work out. And I kept thinking about like like Jesus, I keep pushing away the good ones. Like the ones that were really
That's a
good for
good thing
me.
to realize. You know, that's really
And
great.
the thing is that my mom met him and she liked him. My
Well,
mom never met my twin. And my twin never really met my kids other than the one time where he walked in and he saw one of my sons. I never even got the chance to meet his children. I was a secret. And it kind of like,
that hurts, and you don't want to be a secret. And you made that decision to to stand on your own and have your own value, and that's another healing. Strike one up. You're
yeah,
doing
it is
exactly
healing, and I
right.
understand why things didn't work out, but it kind of makes me think that, my ex was actually a really good guy, and other than the fact that, he actually did kind of cut me off, and I didn't know why, but, years later, we're still friends, and there was a little instance like when we were going cross country. We went to like a Love's gas station and there was like a stuffed animal there. And my son was looking at it and he was saying, "Hey buddy, do you like that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then the cashier lady was like, "Y'all look like a sweet couple." And I was like, "Oh my God, we're not a couple." Like we were before, but at that point in time, he was just helping me. And I told him, I was like, well, this is him repaying his karmic debt for
Oh.
cutting me off by him driving me and all of my stuff across the country. That was his way of repaying for what he's did to me, But I think that now we're clear on that.
Right. And you're
So
fortunate to get clarity, because a lot of situations never find clarity, you
well,
know.
he told me, he says that girl did it. I didn't cut you off, but you didn't tell me that we were over, But I just dropped it because, but during that time, okay, there was another thing where my twin mentioned that he used to take his kids out to Denny's. And I know this is like, it really hurts because this is a story that he's shared with me. I know, right? Damn, I didn't expect me to be talking like this, but
Well,
I,
you're going over the past, and that's what this energy is about. Is we're going over things, we're reviewing and evaluating. You're doing the energy. It's wonderful. Go with it. What
I
were you
know.
about to say?
So my ex and my kids, we were going cross country, and we actually shared that experience. We went to Denny's. I've never been to no Denny's in my life.
I think I've only been once, so once was enough, right?
I mean, and he swore up and down that there was this dish that was tasting good, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna try it, and it wasn't the greatest, but we sat there and we ate it. But yeah, but it kind of makes me wonder. And it's so strange that they both have the same first name. I know, right?
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, um, learning what we do to manifest the people, it really comes down to, like, Scorpio energy is very hard to get close to. Um, and I think we can all reflect on relationships and know there was something we did that just kept someone at arm's length, and it has to do with the whole being worthy of love, or, your story makes me think of my college roommate that had this great guy that wanted to marry her. He was wonderful, good to her, but he didn't have that. She ended up getting involved with a horrible alcoholic who was always chaotic. And to this day, she's like, I really should have married Steve. Something, I mean, I think there's been channels to talk about, why do you go after the dangerous one? Men go after women that aren't going to commit to them or have some sort of element of danger or whatever. And women, like that bad boy, exciting thing. It's like, what is it in people that when you meet, and it's not across the board. I mean, there's certainly plenty of people that, you know,
Well,
get
I knew
together
that
and they're nice,
when
stable, no chaos, and very nice, easy living. And then I think it's connected to difficult childhoods, trauma from the childhood. It's something early on that we learned that that's what we associate love with, is that it's supposed to be um, unreliable and triggering and unstable. And that's why I think the twin flame journey generally brings people together who share common ground in difficult childhoods and things from childhood that we have to work through in our adult relationships.
hmm
We're doing the energy now, right? We're reflecting on our past, going over ground that we've covered, making choices. Did we make the choices that were for our highest good? The choices coming in the future, are we making them, to break that generational pattern you talk about, and doing the thing that's a little uncomfortable as opposed to staying in our comfort zone? All these different elements are at play. And then you've got the sporadic part of Uranus square Saturn and Mars and Gemini. And that's very like we've resolved that pattern, and then something comes along. I think of it as a test from the universe. Are you sure that you've learned that lesson? Are you sure?
that's why I am like to myself. I mean, even sometimes you need a trigger from another person to kind of work out.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm kind of dormant and I'm very overprotective. That could be my Scorpio nature. I don't know. But I'm at a point where I've had enough karmic relationships and experiences where I don't want that anymore. I feel like I'm better off like being like alone, not
Solid.
really being lonely, but like, by myself, being reflective, understanding,
Or being
all
willing to
kinds of stuff.
wait till the right person comes along that
Exactly.
does not have addictions. And I think primarily the issue is outside influences, whether it's people, family, or alcohol or drugs, or some even gambling addiction. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had a gambling addiction in my past, and
It's like other addictions, and that's
mhm,
something to work through. That is like any other thing that makes us clear to be able to be grounded and solid in ourselves to meet someone halfway with a mature, grounded relationship, right? When people, I think in our past, we probably get together with people that enable and nurture that negative behavior pattern,
mhm.
making the decision to not do that anymore is a difficult one. And I think we're tested, are you sure you don't want to deal with that alcoholic? What I mean?
Well,
It's
that's why
a lot
Luna is
to get
coming.
involved with in one lifetime. Okay. Well, my draw the line in the sand is I'm not dealing with alcoholics anymore. I've had it. I've had them always. And unfortunately, it does leave me alone a lot, but I don't like that chaotic, unreliable, you know, just up and down kind of relationship where you never feel like you're on solid ground or can rely on the person that you're intimate with, or building something with. And I might have been building with it, but they weren't.
Yeah, they were kind of like spaced out and not really coherent.
Or just doing what feels good to do now without any
I
kind
kind
of
of like forget about it. Like,
commitment.
oh, okay.
Yeah, the commitment is to the buzz. I need to get to the next buzz, and that's very difficult, and it influences an awful lot of people's lives, unfortunately.
I hear people outside. That's why it was so like weird. I don't know if it's kids or whatnot.
Well, it sounds like race cars.
Oh, you can hear that?
Huh?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know my mic picks up all kinds of sound.
You
I
said,
had the window open. That's why.
you said it, witchy woo. I'd rather be alone than be in another toxic partnership. I think that's what brings us all together in this kind of forum, is we've made that decision. I don't want to do the negative behavior pattern in a relationship anymore, and just like maybe I've had those negative patterns for many, many lifetimes, it's not just going to go away in a month.
Right. And I think that the older we get, like the more reserved we are, whereas the people who are younger, they're still like, willing to go for another round or for another try. But once you've been around the block a few times, you just kind of know like when to call it quits until like the right one really pops up. Because I know that some people, they'll like get out of a relationship and they'll, get onto some dating app and trying to find the next best thing, and they're not really completely ready. Whereas there are some that have been, by themselves for many years, and they decide to go on an app, like such as myself, right? And still have like a really effed up experience with that. And I'm like, you know what? I guess it's not in the cards for me. I'm just gonna be like a single like old lady, you know.
I don't think so. It's
Like,
just a
I mean,
season.
I know I should I
It's
should be.
just a season for now, you know?
It's been a long dry season. Just
Lots
saying.
of it's very complex, right? There's really no blanket
I
explanation.
really feel like I signed up for this. I knew that in my lifetime that I was gonna have a drought experience. I must have like was running really loosey goosey last lifetime or something. I don't know. I keep thinking that there must be a reason for me to choose to, and I know this is because I'm Buddhist and I'm taking a lot of time to really do reflection on my actions.
Gratitude, daily gratitude
Well,
and
it's gratitude, but also like the root causes of everything. Like everything has like a reason, and the karma that is involved with it. But this is the thing. We're in a 3D environment, okay? And this is our reality. So we need terms like karma to kind of understand like what this energy
right.
is in a physical sense. But let's say that this 3D existence doesn't really, exist, and we're just like little floaty light bulbs, and they're just floating around and
There you
don't have
go.
a physical form, just energy, but everything is happening all at the same time, so to speak. So in this reality, I'm trying to make sense of it, and it kind of slowed things down, but it kind of puts things in a kind of different context, kind of like the hangman, like in reverse, like looking at things from a different perspective to
Right.
kind of really understand like what the bigger picture is. And so, for me, with my Buddhist like awareness or like kind of like philosophy, it kind of like helps me without being like a monk or like a nun, but really looking at that the ideology and really making like this awareness or this like having like this knowledge of what is.
Being okay to slow down, being okay to just go with the flow.
Yeah, because all of this is an illusion, really.
Right. It's a movie and it's temporary.
Yeah, that's why I keep like freaking like I don't know. I kind of zone out sometimes. So when I'm out and I'm walking to the bus stop to get my son off the bus. It's like one reality, right? But I get really weird and I look at the concrete, I look at the trees, I look at the sky, I look at like the chemtrails in the air, and it's just like I look
And
at squirrels,
yeah,
and I'm like, this
it's
is like,
fascinating.
yeah, exactly. I'm like really all immersed in my environment and the perception that I'm receiving in my physical reality. And for me to just like look at that fraction of time and
Right.
observing it is really amazing to me, you know?
What was that? Remember that movie that came out? What the bleep? What the bleep is going on? And it was this really cool movie about what happens when we produce a thought and manifest it out in the environment. Do you
Hmm.
remember that? And the second one came out, I think, Down the Rabbit Hole. But these were really like new age, quantum physics based movies. And I think even, when you say, why'd I choose to be here alone or do this and floating around like little lights? Well, I think we're little lights to help other people turn on their light, and see things in that broader perspective or
Well, from what I know is that we all need to be aware of universal oneness, that we are all one, no matter if it's on this
aligning.
planet or beyond.
Yeah.
And the problem with this planet is that we're all divided and we are kind of disconnected. And again, going back to the interconnectedness, we
Right.
are all connected with one another. And this could be through telepathy, which we can't really trace, but the energy is there, and we're all in this as one.
Right.
And so on this planet specific, it's all torn to pieces, and it's all because of negative energies that is lowering our frequency. That's why I'm making all these observations and like, okay, there must be something that is causing all of this.
Pluto. Yeah. So Pluto is the god of destruction that tears society and social mores down, which is what we've been going through for a couple of years and will continue to go through for another year. And the promise of Pluto, though, is it always rebuilds back better that which it destroys. And so, on every level, whether it's a personal level and your own moral values, or family and 3D people, or the planet and the way it's shifting and changing, we're all going through this rebirth. And the thing about Pluto, which rules Scorpio, which when you have heavy Scorpio energy, you're going to be more intense by this, is the fascination with the life, death, life cycle and all things. And that's why, observing nature and appreciating it and capturing those moments, where you do get that quantum physics feel like you have stopped a moment in time. And, you might get like a
Yeah, do you ever get that?
or something, it's just really
And I
cool.
don't mean to cut you off, but I had a thought.
Epiphany.
Yeah, so whenever I'm in that zone of thought, do
Yeah.
you ever get like displaced? Like I have visions of the East Coast of being in a different place, and I'm seeing someone else like on in a different location as I'm in my physical
Yeah.
situation. And it could be remote viewing. I'm not
Probably
saying
is
that
that.
it is or isn't, but this is for real happening to me as I'm having like these experiences. And I'm actually, I guess, remoting into like what is going on with another person. And from me seeing that to like another place, I'm getting more of like a global thing that everyone is doing something like, and it's different, and but everything is all existing at the same like time. I get like these weird like spatial like reality situations where i'm i'm i I'm seeing this in my head. I don't know why it's popping up in my mind,
I
but
think it's quantum physics. number one. It's about energy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's prophesized that these times we're living in are a rebirth of the planet, the time of Atlantis. And during Atlantis in ancient times, people moved themselves from one place to another with the power of their thought. And this age of Aquarius and the Uranus Pluto aspects we're navigating our way through have to do with that intensified ability of psychic faculty, you know, the ability to know what's going to happen before it does, or um, all different kinds of psychic abilities. You may hear what somebody else is thinking. You may get a feeling, you're feeling what somebody else is feeling. Everybody, I think, processes their psychic faculty in a little different way. But these times we're in are about, you know, peeling away all the fake, false kinds of superficiality and
Mm-hmm.
getting into that quantum physics stuff about nature and gravity and cycles of renewal. And it's a newness to this energy and generation. And there's no question in my mind. There's, you know, parallel universes and other species and planets and galaxies. I think it would be very egotistical of us to think we're the only people in the whole universe on this only planet, you know. And
Well, I think like one of the I guess hypotheses about Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis was they were too technologically advanced, kind
right,
of at the rate that we're going right now with
right,
technology.
cycles, right,
Right, it's like a repeat of a situation, but the Atlanteans, they had knew something, okay,
they
because
imploded themselves, right,
right, and
and
I
so
think they destroyed their own kind by
inside
right.
it was it was a cycle. And so I guess the question is, here and now, are we perceptive enough to do the out of familiar or stretching for those out of the box behavior patterns so we don't recreate the same? I mean, I think that's the question. And
Well, I think that as reincarnated descendants of, you
right,
know, who have like a blueprint of that species or whatnot, um, in today's time, I feel like we're in some sort of awareness. We're trying to gather the pieces, if you will, and that's what my Buddhist teaching was all about, was the interconnectedness, getting like the puzzle pieces and knowing how to connect with one another instead of leaving things like kind of like not connected,
loose ends, yeah.
right? And
And
so
that really sums up like the energy of this new moon and all the other aspects to it. And what we're heading into for the fall and eclipse season is just exactly what you said. This we're in a school and we're learning. And I think our jobs is to be kind and open and forgiving to people to help them get into that same space, because the more we allow the divisiveness, or what I call fear porn, you know, it does keep us separate. And we're here to belong and to bring humanity into a rebirth and a renewal of a more loving energy. And it's, no one said it was going to be easy. I think of us as we're spiritual warriors, right? We can just take it a day at a time, and a situation and person at a time, and not try not to get too overwhelmed. And when we do, to go out to somehow connect with nature, to somehow see something really simple, and appreciate it for what it represents, because that renewal cycle is on all levels.
yeah, I'm all for
It's
being
a really good thing, and it's an exciting time. And you know, if you're feeling forlorn or trying to process something difficult, I say, you know, get out there and create. get our minds off of it, create something, do a new hobby, go to a school doing something new that's different to you, because it makes a different part of our brain work, right? So
Mhm.
if we're always feeling fascinated by what we're working at, then all the details of the other things that aren't going the way we think they should be, when they really are going the way they should be,
Right.
right? But that's been what I kind of felt like from doing this particular Libra new moon in September, was about, learn something new, stretch your imagination, stretch the intellectual mind. They've got these great softwares now to learn other languages, that you can carry on your phone. You can practice while you're in transit. They're making it very
I
convenient.
need to learn French because we have some French speakers in this chat, and I want to know what they're talking
Yeah,
about. Just saying.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you have something, a celebration to get on to, and I have puppy dogs to feed.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
we had talked about maybe doing tonight a little more efficiently. I am so sorry that I bleeped out there for a while, and that got back on. It's all nice and calm now. It looks like the sun wants to come out.
Okay.
And that's all I can say is just, go slow, hold on, keep your sense of humor. It's all going to be fine. It's better than fine. And it's just deciding that we see it that way and be
Sure.
okay.
Sorry.
I'm not seeing French.
You know what I'm talking about, honey. Anyways,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, that's pretty much, I think, the synopsis of everything we've described. You've described it very, very well, and all in line with what the planets, as I interpret them, would speak to too. And so we have a fiery Aries full moon on October 9th, and I haven't delved into that a whole lot yet, but Aries fire full moon, boy, it's going to be fireworks. That's a lot of creative, energetic energy, doing things first, being pioneering. We're all, I think, being asked to reinvent ourselves and how we do things, or at least being open to doing things differently, or at least seeing things differently. And that will make our day-to-day life, I think, more pleasant. If something really is crappy going on, but you can find some way of seeing good in it. uh,
Mhm.
I like to believe we're always where we're supposed to be, doing what we're supposed to be doing, and even if that's very difficult, that everything is temporary, right? We're always changing and evolving and navigating different energies. And Libra new moon is about seeing the scales balance, um, and maybe reflecting on choices from prior uh, patterns, and not necessarily changing them, but just evaluating, were those the right choices. Given the choice again, would you do it the same way? You'll probably get an opportunity to make that choice again and do it the same way or not. um, I know that that's, my personal goal is to, not make the same choices I've made in the past, because they really haven't served me well.
Right. No, I mean,
So
I could say for the same too. That's why, you know, I don't know. These energies are different. I really hope with this Aries full moon is uplifting, because it just seems like a lull or a drag, and I don't know how long it's gonna be, but it seems like it's nonstop and it keeps compounding, and I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think it's going to come to a big peak. And with the eclipse energy, just more and more happening. And that's why I think honing our skills now for uh, being quiet and being okay being quiet, and not looking at still time as anything other than a time to replenish your soul and renew. And if you need to be a little more withdrawn so that you can rebuild those batteries, um, you know keep a positive mental attitude, and that carries us a long way. Find the humor in people. We're all really very funny.
I know. Or just watch a comedy or something interesting. So, okay. So I'm gonna let you go, and if you guys are interested in booking a reading with Sunny, you could go to her website is lionmountainhealing.com.
Would love to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, also visit her Etsy shop. That's the wrong one. This one. Go ahead and visit her Etsy shop. She has an Etsy shop also at Lion Mountain Relics. And
Right.
so, yeah, go ahead and see what she has over there. If you feel called, I would say now's a good time to really book a reading because I'm not going to lie, I don't know what's going on. And I personally could use some guidance. And so,
We'll get together, you and I, and I'm happy to help anyone. And anytime is a good reading where you feel moved to. And yeah, we're always getting new insight. Always helps to have another angle on things, right?
oh yeah, I always like to check in with you every couple of months anyways, just to see
You
like
have an exciting week coming up with a new fur child coming into
yes,
the house.
Luna.
I want
Like excited and stressed at the same time.
I think it's awesome.
I
And
know. I'm gonna share her with you all for the Aries moon. We'll see
yeah,
how she does. And
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot that's actually going on actually.
And it'll get even busier, more popping. We've
um,
just been in kind of that stillness in the eye of the storm. We've been through a storm, we're at the calm, and now we're going to have another wave of it as we get closer to the eclipses. And
is
just
the eclipse around November?
so October 25th is a Scorpio solar eclipse, and
Okay.
November the 8th is a Taurus lunar eclipse. So that Scorpio Taurus axis, which is, as we know, very intense, very
Hmm.
instinctual, and it really gets down to the raw nerve or the bone of the matter. It's very hard
Oh,
to,
I really feel it because you know what's going on in November, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe, who knows?
Just saying.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
well,
a day at a time thing.
yeah, just live for the moment, guys. Don't live for
That's
tomorrow.
right.
Don't
Yeah.
live for the past.
That's
Just live
exactly perfect. Perfect for you to
today.
say that. It's just stay in the moment, find gratitude in everything, even
Mhm.
if it might be perceived as not. It's all a learning experience to prepare us to be better.
Right. Okay. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Sunny, for
Thank
always
you,
like
Scorpio.
sharing your wisdom.
Thank you guys in the chat room. I really appreciate your time tonight. And we got through the thunderstorm and internet interruption.
See, it was temporary.
That's right. See, we did the energy. That's all we can ask ourselves to do, right?
Right.
And I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Bye. Bye, guys.
Night.
Good night.